appreciate everyone being here now. And if you're watching this on a recording there in the future, this is really like one of the most passionate things I have in dentistry, what we're going to be talking about tonight. So probably a little different. It's going to be more of a discussion and why I do what I do at my practice, why I am so passionate about this workflow and this procedure. And I really feel like it's what drives the patient experience in our office. It's provided huge growth, huge patient satisfaction, and those 5-star reviews, right? Those we know how important those are in today's world. It's just like hearing it from, the best review they say is word of mouth, right? From a family member, something like that. People are starting to view these Google reviews as if it was straight from like a word of mouth type situation. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to drive that, and we make it a practice here at Titensor Dental to really try to provide a 5-star experience for our patients, ask for those reviews, and we get patients all the time coming in because they say what they read on our reviews. So I'm going to go right to it. All right. So this is our practice, Titensor Dental. We're in Flower Mound, Texas. I'll tell you a little bit more about the practice. We're currently sitting at about 544 Google reviews. These are all real. There's no bots driven in those. It's I think it's possible to get 5.0. I don't know why, but we're sitting at 4.9. I actually think having a few of those bad reviews actually doesn't hurt you. It makes you seem more real. Sometimes if I go to a website or a product or a company and they have like 30,000 reviews and it's all 5 stars, it's almost like you start to question that. But um, here's a review, and this is kind of what I'm highlighting to kick us off for tonight. So, we offer dental implants. We do veneers. We do cleanings. I mean, I'm a general dentist, but we kind of offer everything. But spoiler alert, the 5-star review that I get the procedure I get the most 5-star review from is same-day crowns. All right, there you go. There's the answer. I can't tell you how much people we get writing in how great of experience they had going from start to finish, getting a permanent crown all done in one appointment. Yeah, so here's a review. I mean, this is really, you can see this on my website. This patient has said his concerns, he was expecting to have to wear a temporary crown for weeks while the permanent was being made. And, next thing he knew is I talked to him, no, we can make it. And he may have exaggerated a little bit, but he said in about 30 minutes after he started, Dr. Brett was installing my new permanent crown. It really is such a powerful practice builder, especially if a patient has had the traditional way done with the temporary, with the shots, and then multiple appointments. Going from that to everything done in one appointment, it is a big game changer. We're living in a different world. Okay, this is the first time this happened. In fact, in the last couple weeks, a new patient came in from ChatGPT. Okay. And he said what he typed into ChatGPT is, where can I find a dentist who offers same-day crowns? Definitely a first. We had to like go into Dentrix and add a new referral code, and it's ChatGPT. So the word is out. Definitely people are hearing about this experience. They're learning about it from a friend. They're finding it on ChatGPT, reading Google reviews. It's definitely, I know people are out looking for it. We live in a new world, right? It's the Amazon generation. Everything, well, we want things fast and we want it now, and same day. Like, it's crazy. I ordered something on Amazon it wasn't just it said, hey, we can deliver this next day. It says, hey, we can deliver it today between 10 and 12 o'clock or between 1 and 4 o'clock. I mean, it's almost getting ridiculous. But that is the people that and expectations that we're up against now. And I'm telling you, if you can deliver on that expectation and that desire that people have, you will set yourself apart as your dental office. When a person has two offices to compare to, and one they can get their crown done in one appointment, one day, versus the alternative, I'm telling you, they'll go with the other. Let's talk about how much opportunity there is out there. Doing some research, granted estimates, okay. It's hard to find a survey of really how many crowns are done in a year. I'm sure dental insurances know, right? They know it all. But I couldn't find anything where they post. But Dentistry IQ, they released an article where they estimated the average dental practice produces 152 crowns a year. All right. Now there's around 120,000 dental practices in the US, and so we're talking millions of crowns annually. But out of those millions of crowns, it's estimated less than 10% of dentists offer same-day crowns. So whether you're doing them now and you just want to improve upon that, or if you're looking to get into that, this webinar is just kind of to give you an overview, an idea, a kickstart as to why I think this really provides a cool opportunity and a great dental experience, and it will drive your practice and get more of those 5-star reviews, and it'll just be a huge practice builder for you. So we'll go over some overview tonight, some high level things. We'll talk about a little bit of where to get started, how do you integrate it into your practice, really some of the big hesitations and concerns I hear out there. I do want to address some of those. I would love to hear your concerns and your questions. So I know they mentioned that, I want this to be involved. I even like to end these early because I find the best learning sometimes is at the question and answering section at the end where we get you involved. We really dive in. I've been offering same-day dentistry for a long time. I kind of do it all. And I would love to hear from you and love to answer any questions you might have. So please stay tuned, hang in there till the end where we can get all of those questions answered. So start typing them in now as I go. I do want to do the disclosures, okay? I do get an honorarium for doing this webinar through Henry Schein. Very grateful. Henry Schein's been a great partner with me in my practice. So thank you. I don't get any compensation if you buy any equipment or materials from them or anything like that. I'm a dentist. This is kind of what I like to do, the side gig. You'll notice I'm heavily invested in the Dentsply Sirona workflow, which is CEREC, if you heard that. That's kind of the name brand out there. Are there other same-day dentistry companies and products and technologies? Yes. But me personally, I found that the CEREC workflow is just designed to provide that awesome same-day dentistry experience. And then all of the images and things, nothing's been altered. So this is my practice. Again, it's at Flower Mound. I'm a general dentist. So that's our bread and butter is permanent restorations, fillings, crowns. We do offer implants, veneers, everything. I love technology. I think this is a fun time to be in dentistry with all of the tools at our disposal. It's really making the patient's life better. It's making my life as a dentist better. I've kind of have it all. I have intraoral scanners. I have a cone beam. I have multiple mills. I have the newest scanner from Dentsply Sirona called the Prime Scan 2. Been loving that. When you're doing same day dentistry, you basically you become the lab in a lot of ways. I still use my lab for multiple cases. It's not like labs are going anywhere. There's definitely cases I still think are great for labs, love my lab partnership, but for those single unit crowns, which I do most often, being able to make it in my office right here in my lab, fantastic. 3D printers, you name it. You know, with this growth that we've seen, so my journey has been, I've been out, let's see, it's more than 10 years now. I started practicing with my dad, so I'm a second generation dentist. Bought the practice from him and really dove in, invested in technology, invested in this patient experience, and just saw tremendous growth, tremendous success. I owe it to our team members that you see here. I owe it to our awesome patients. But with that growth, we have outgrown our place, and we're building a new dental office from this. Want it state of the art, all kind of driven around that patient experience, giving someone a really nice place to be while they get their dental work done. I want the workflow very efficient, because when you're doing same day dentistry, minutes matter. So having a nice lab, having the layout appropriate, all of that is kind of, we're designing this from the ground up. So super exciting. Again, time to just be in dentistry. And on top of that, I value education, like what you're here tonight doing. You're learning. I didn't start, without the helps of great mentors, great educators. If you're going to get into same dentistry, you're going to need to learn how to do it. You're going to have to invest into learning. So part of this new dental office, we're building a training center where you can actually see something like a same day crown from start to finish live, and really see what it looks like in a dental office setting. So super excited about that coming next April, next May. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll do this not on a webinar, but live in person someday soon. So when you invest in technology, you get that full ecosystem. That we even have things that are moving to the cloud to make it even more efficient. You get those updates to the software faster. Um, it allows me to treat kind of the whole perspective, anywhere from implants. We 3D print our surgical guides in-house. Endo, having the right technology to do that, even digital dentures now, 3D printing. I really stand by this. I think my patients, they connect to my practice because we can offer these services, and we can offer them, and because we've embraced the technology, we've embraced the workflows, and we've created that modern dental experience, that Amazon experience, where you can be in a comfortable setting and have really good quality dental work done in a very efficient amount of time, right? A lot of times, a lot of these procedures that you see is done in that very same day. Okay, so I got to talk about conventional dentistry. Now, I don't want you to think that like anybody out there doing conventional dentistry is wrong, right? My dad would kill me for that. Like, he did practice conventional dentistry for 37 years, and you can do amazing work. Great fitting restorations. Again, labs are great partners in these things. There are some inherent weaknesses with conventional dentistry. There's a lot of places where you can put human error into that. Let's say you pull the impression too soon, you don't mix the right stone ratio, you get some air bubbles, you send it to the lab, they're guessing your margin. There's a lot of things, plus that patient experience, okay? Right? Like, anybody's temporary crowns look like this. If I tried to make a temporary crown today, that's probably pretty accurate to me. I haven't made a temporary crown in a really long time. Even if I want to make something temporary, I'll still mill it and out of a like resin material, and that would be their temporary until their permanent comes in. But we've all seen it. The temporaries, they fall off. Patients, the first thing they walk out of your office, they go and they start chewing that Laffy Taffy, even though you told them not to. temporary comes off, they call you on the weekend, or they don't call you and the gums get inflamed and that tooth super erupts, leading to a really difficult seat, potentially a crown that doesn't fit, and you have to send back to the lab and reschedule that. Not to mention the multiple shots that patients, you know, have feared and do fear, and for good reason. Like, I'm a dentist and I hate shots, right? So to be able to take a lot of these things, these traditional like fears in our patients, and remove that fear that people can get and what dentistry, I think we can change that paradigm. And that's my goal with that new practice I'm building. That's my goal every day, is I try to change the paradigm in dentistry that it can be a more comfortable experience, and that will drive those 5-star reviews and build your practice, right? So same day dentistry. All right. Let's talk about that. Let me fix this real quick. What does that look like? Okay, in real simple terms, you prep your crown just like you would in traditional dentistry, but rather than taking a PVS gooey impression, you're doing it digital. It has to be digital, right? Because if you take a PVS impression, by the time you have to pour up a stone model and do all that, like, it just eliminates that chairside experience. Like, it needs to be efficient, needs to be fast, it has to be a digital scan. The good news is digital scanners are amazing now. They are accurate, they are fast. Gone are the days where you worry about, the fit on these crowns, because the scans produce such great impressions. I stand by that. It's the technology is there. Even in deep margins, it can get it. You still got to do good retraction and things like that. But now, like the scanner, that my newest one, the Prime Scan 2, it scans anywhere in my office. It's wireless. So I can do a crown prep in any operatory in my whole office. It uploads directly to the cloud, and I can immediately start designing the crown with the planning software. Planning softwares have gotten amazing. 10 years ago when I first started doing this, we were doing powder for the scans, and the software honestly wasn't great. It felt like you needed a computer engineering degree. But now, like, their AI is getting into the software, the cloud, with it being on the cloud, you'll see that things like bugs, some of the things that gave you headaches before, they're getting fixed instantly rather than having to wait a long time for that CD-ROM update and things like that. So the chairside planning has gotten better than ever, and it's only getting better. And then the restoring. So you design the crown and then you mill it. Can you print? Yes. Maybe we can talk about that in the Q&A. The idea of resin crowns, I don't love that. I will tell you why in the Q&A if you want to talk about it, but I still think we have the technology to produce beautiful porcelain or beautiful zirconia full coverage crowns that are strong and look beautiful. I still think that we should keep that quality, keep that standard of care, if we can. So I have multiple mills. One of the mills is called the Seric Prime Mill. It allows me to mill zirconia in matter of minutes. So it has a mode called super fast mode. Only takes 4 to 5 minutes to mill out a crown, and then you center it in the oven, and then you can seat it all there same day. If you haven't seen it done, or if you're already doing it, man, you'll see the value, see how cool it is, and how, even if you're worried about, is this for me? Can I learn this technology? Definitely, it's easier than ever to do these things chairside. Let's happy patience. But let's talk about some of the concerns. Happy to address those, right? There was that the scary face. One is aesthetics, right? Um, CEREC crowns have come a long way, but also a lot depends on the clinician, depends on how much love you put into it. Like for instance, I always, after the crown has been milled, I always carve in additional anatomy. I want these to look real. I want these to mimic nature as much as possible. Taking a few minutes or so to carve in some additional anatomy, making them look really nice. Taking that extra effort can really produce some high quality restorations. We have so many awesome materials now. One of my favorite materials is this multi-transitional layer zirconia. It's called MTL zirconia, where we're not only getting the strength from zirconia, but we're also getting the aesthetics. So we're actually getting some of that natural translucency. We can do minimal preps because zirconia only needs to be about zero point 0.8 to 1 millimeter thick. So there's the strength, there's the aesthetics. You know, it's a fun time to be in dentistry with all these different materials at our disposal. Let's talk about the perspective on production. Okay. I just threw some numbers up there. These are no way reflection of necessarily my costs or your costs or anything, but it just gives us an idea. Let's talk about production. You may have talked to a sales rep about same day dentistry in the past. And one thing they'll say, hey, your ROI is your save on lab fees, right? Um, a block of zirconia for me is about $24-25. So, traditionally to make a zirconia crown is $25. Where if I sent to a lab, depending on the lab, there are labs now that could produce a crown for 70, $80, so yeah, I wouldn't say the ROI is necessarily in the block savings, in the savings you get from your lab. I want you to think differently. I personally feel like the return on your investment is not only the practice building that we talked about, getting that great patient experience, but the production per hour for you as the dentist just can go through the roof. I know it's not all about the numbers, but it's some about the numbers, right? So let's talk about it. So let's, like, for instance, a quadrant of MOD composites. My favorite thing in dentistry, right? I hate it. But that could be an hour, and it's me there in the chair the whole time. Um, from bands and the wedges and the blood but it can actually be pretty decent production if you actually do the math. If we take a traditional crown, okay, let's say it takes about 2.5 hours. By the time you do the prep, the temporary, they come back for the seat. I'm talking everything together. Let's say it takes about 2.5 hours in your practice. So your production, if you charge $1,200, your lab costs, you got to consider that. On average, let's say 200, less if you use different labs, but your production per hour is about $480. So if you think about it, sometimes your crown production per hour is less than just a quadrant of MODs. And then let's get into the sexy dentistry, the things that everybody, like always talks about: veneers, dental implants. A 10 unit veneer case, you can produce $16,000. Let's say the total time takes you around 10 hours with everything. Pretty high lab cost with veneers, right? Let's say, especially if you want them to look nice, but you can still keep a pretty high production per hour. With that. But the downside, for veneers, dental implants, same thing, like high production, but lab costs can be up there. Um, Veneers and dental implants, there's a lot of risks involved if you think about it. With veneers, an unhappy veneer patient can be a practice killer, right? Let's not talk about practice builder, let's talk about practice killers. So high risk with veneers. Yes, I do them, love them. I love transforming people's smiles, but they make me sweat more than anything. So a lot high risk. Dental implants, same thing. Great procedure. Love restoring missing teeth with dental implants. I think they're fantastic. Do them all the time. However, a lot of risks involved. You could hit a nerve. An implant could fail a lot easier, way less predictable. When we're talking, and let's go. I didn't even put in, let's say the crown we talked about. If the temporary falls off, your crown doesn't see, you have to send it back to the lab. Any kind of redos. I mean, you're really dipping into that production per hour just shrinks so incrementally fast. We have no idea how much redos are costing us, how much a temporary coming off, and the time it takes our staff to book that appointment for our assistants to set up the chair, for them to take the time to put it on. All that accumulates and just is a production killer. But let me challenge you and say, what if you could produce a crown from start to finish in an hour? Okay. Same day dentistry, a crown start to finish in an hour with the lab cost of just the cost of your block. We're talking, it could be one of the most productive procedures you can do, minus all the added risks, right? So I really, to this day, on top of implant, everything, a single unit crown is still my favorite procedure. Very predictable, very nice workflow, and it can be done in an hour, right? So, of course, that was the rumor, at least. When I first got into it, I had some mentors and things. Yeah, you can do this in an hour. And of course, it's not always about speed, but if you don't want to sacrifice quality. But I did want to see if it was possible. So I got a GoPro, I got a willing patient, and we wanted to see if we could do it a crown start to finish in an hour. We're talking numbing, uh, everything, final x-ray, permanently cemented crown in an hour. And sure enough, here we go. Spoiler alert. With 1 minute to spare, she's getting out of that chair. Permanent, full contour zirconia crown cemented in an hour. It's possible. Um, is that going to be the case every time? No. In my practice, we schedule crowns for an hour and a half with a goal to be done in an hour. There's always variables. There's always that patient that likes to talk. There's difficult preps. So don't hold me, like, oh, you said you could do every single, no. But the goal, if we're going to push ourselves, set a bar, you can do these in an hour. It's possible. So think of that production. Just to give an idea on timeline, I actually went back to that video footage and I broke down the times, and I really kind of dove into some of the details on how that's possible. I did that on a separate webinar. If anybody's ever interested, I'm gonna just fly through some of these slides. I go into how you prep, how to use the time when they're numbing, some principles behind same day dentistry if you want a good idea on how to get things done in an hour. Talk about gingival retraction, how important that is. I talk about scanning tips, you name it, some milling tips, go into blocks, how to take off screws. Um, so all of that polishing all the way to seat. Okay. So if anybody's interested, here's that final seated crown. If you go to Google and you just type in 1 hour crown, a 1 hour CEREC crown, you should be able to find it under videos. And it's a Henry Shed webinar series. And reason why I show you this too, because oh, he probably cheated, right? Well, to make sure you knew I didn't cheat, I actually have the footage, the GoPro footage running nonstop. as I'm showing you, so you can see how we really did it in an hour. So check it out. Um, this leads to, that didn't happen to me overnight. That was after, a few years of definitely CEREC and Crown experience. I went to a lot of training courses. I took a lot of training courses through a group called CDocs out in Scottsdale. They're a great resource. I'm hoping someday that I could be a great resource for people who are interested. Little shameless plug there for the training center coming up next year, but that's a definite thing. I got to tell anybody who wants to get started with this, you got to invest in education, just like anything else. You've got to learn how to get better. There's plenty of resources online, even through webinars and things like that, but getting the proper training, send your assistants. Man, that procedure is assistant driven. You want the whole team involved. When a team is involved, when your assistants are learning, it even helps with employee retention. I find that my best employees are ones who like to learn, who like to grow, and those are the employees that stick around. In today's world, there's a lot of changing, navigating things, that, investing in your team matters, and you'll drive your retention. Just want to give you, maybe paint that picture why a 1 hour Sarah Crown can be so impactful, so powerful, such a patient building experience to drive those 5-star reviews with Robert. Okay. We've all had it, right? Where it's towards the end of the day, we're all tired, assistants are packing up, and a patient walks in at 4:30 with a broken tooth. What do you do? Okay. Traditionally, right? Something like that. Um, when you try to bring the patient back, half your team could walk out on you, and you're back to finding new staff members. No, a kid, but traditionally you could maybe get that patient back. Let's say if you didn't have the same day technology and things that I have, get them back, maybe patch it up for them, do a composite build up. You still probably have to numb because it's close enough where the patient's sensitive, and just kind of do a patch job until he can come back in a proper time to schedule him, right? You could prep them and put them into temporary and do that. Good luck getting the team on board, like ready to do that. My assistants always let me know, yeah, doc, when you finish the prep, or like when you're finished the appointment, you get to leave, but we're still here cleaning the room, putting in the invitation notes, and if it's traditional, they're the ones making the temporaries, so they're going late. But in this scenario, okay, you can see here's 4:30. If you look on the schedule, this is our dentist schedule. It's a busy day when the assistants actually put in the lunchtime, at 12 and 1 o'clock. But here at the end of the day, Robert walks in, broken crown, with our technology and the ability to do this in 1 hour. I got the patient back, said, absolutely, we can fix this. We got to get going right now. Sign consents, get the numbing going. And here he is, walking out of our office at 5:30, full contour zirconia, fully cemented, permanent restoration that he can eat on for dinner. What a cool experience for that patient. He was so grateful. He left with a permanent tooth. He didn't have to risk, the tooth breaking even more, or having that sensitivity. We got it fully covered up and done in an hour. If you invest in that, invest in your practice, invest in yourself, invest in the technology, deliver patient experiences like this one with Robert, it will grow your practice. I promise. You will get more of those 5-star reviews. We can all collectively make dentistry a better experience. We can change that stigma of what's out there. And so that's my hope and dream for everyone out there that, you get started. Start simple. Invest in a digital scanner. Invest in a mill. Start with one material. Message me um, on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. You can find our information at Titensor Dental. Look up Dr. Titensor. Message me. Ask me any questions. I'd love to help docs like you on this journey. But let's just wrap up here with our let's dive into some question and answers, and we'll let you guys get back to your families. Okay?
Thank you so much, Dr. Titan, sir. I just love your passion and positive energy around what's possible and how that, and just to see how that's driving forward dentistry in general. So that's really exciting. And we'd love to get your questions in. We have one that has come in so far. And this one's from Christina Bosworth. What do you think about the Midas and 3D printed crowns? Which material would you suggest? I've heard that wear is an issue.
Christina, I am so glad you answered this question. First and foremost, I want to caveat, I love 3D printing. We have multiple 3D printers in our office. I think it is an amazing technology that can benefit you as a dentist. It can benefit our patients. I don't love it for full coverage crowns, um, at least not yet. I will do partial coverage crowns with more of a resin, like the same materials you would get from a Midas crown, for instance. A resin crown, they're flexible. They do wear. Wear is absolutely an issue. Think of it like a big composite. You put a big composite in someone who's a bruxer or wear tooth wear, that will wear down over time. You've seen it in composites. It's very similar. Where I do like it, like I said, partial coverage because it's you want it to flex with the tooth. But for full coverage, it'll flex. There's chances for debonds. I think we have better, stronger materials in porcelains, in zirconias that are more, tissue compatible, that are stronger. Um, I personally, again, this is just Dr. Brett Deitzer talking. I stay away from full coverage 3D printed grounds for now.
We'd love to get your questions, so please go ahead and type those in. Um, and while we're waiting, Dr. Titan, sir, you had talked about, yeah, just, you talked about how with the zirconia and with the porcelain, you could also sort of hew some grooves into that to make it look more natural and to fit in. Is that something that takes a lot of time? And is it something that can be, is there like an, can you, is there like an extra billing factor for that that could be applied?
Yeah, it's first question, does it take a lot of time? Absolutely not. Especially as you get the hang of this, as you get the training. My assistants do it. They're so talented. They find it fun, like getting that right color, and when you put it in, the satisfaction you get when that crown just disappears. And absolutely, it should be something that is team driven. And we're talking like if I were to show you the timeline, like by the time you mill it, you remove what's called the sprue and you put it into the oven. It's only a matter of about 2.5 minutes. So you can carve those grooves, you can do that stain glazing in only a matter of minutes now. So yeah, definitely something that I encourage and is I don't charge extra for it. I think it's just part of the restoration. I take pride in making something that looks beautiful and patient that I'm proud of. And so it's just part of the process.
Yeah, that was fascinating too, the timeline and just getting that down, getting that crown, that permanent crown in less than an hour, and then breaking it down. It's fascinating that that can be done. Well, with that, oh, and here's another question actually. In terms of 3D printed fillings, do you think, Dr. Titensor, will it work on parallel success as we do crowns?
So parallel success. Can you maybe tell me more what you mean? Like, do you see 3D printing and milling working in tandem together as like a great way to treat your printing? Or I guess I'm not sure if I understand the question completely.
Yeah, we'll wait for him or for William Issa to go ahead and type that information and give us a little more information there. Yeah, it will work on, oh, here we go. Yes, in all terms.
Yeah. Okay. I love the idea, and this is that practice I'm building, the practice I have now of having both the ability to manufacture with milling, which is reductive, and manufacture with printing, which is additive. I think they both have their place. The big advantage for 3D printing, in my opinion, is you can 3D print multiple things at one time. So if I'm doing, let's say, I wanted to 3D print my temporary veneers so the patient can test drive their smile. 3D printing works great for that. You can print 10 units all at the same time. Now, am I going to put those in as their permanent restoration? No, I'm going to make that out of porcelain or, something that is going to be stronger, that's going to last longer. I 3D print surgical guides. Okay, this is something that's not going to be permanently placed in their mouth. I even 3D print night guards, which is amazing. But when it comes to final full coverage restorations, at least today, again, this could change, but I still think the best thing at our disposal is milling for that nice chairside workflow to produce a permanent strong restoration. It still beats printing.
Hmm. This question is from Christina Bosworth. For implant crowns, are you doing same day for the implant crowns? And how are you milling the abutment and the crown? Is it separate CEREC machines?
Awesome question, Christina. I didn't talk about implant crowns, but I love producing implant crowns in office with the CEREC. I think it's one of the biggest ROIs. We're talking, lab fees for a crown, you save maybe $50. Implant crowns, you could save like $1,000 on a lab fee by doing these in office, plus having that full control. So I used to. And I'd still say on average, I do not do implant crowns same day for a few reasons. One is it just takes a little bit longer time. It takes longer to mill. These are bigger restorations. You also have to cement that implant crown to what's called a tie base. So there's time to cement that and things like that. What I'll typically do is I'll scan them and then either few days later or the next week seat that implant crown. Now, I said used to because just this year there is a new implant crown block on the market. It's called Zircon 4D. It's a full contour zirconia block that the processing time is a lot faster, and I've actually done quite a few same day implant crowns with this because I can usually takes me about 45 minutes from the time I scan it to getting that permanent implant crown done. So it's either the patient just hangs out or sometimes they'll go grab a coffee, grab some lunch, come back, and we'll put the implant crown in that same day. I've had a patient fly in from out of town. We had the materials ready. We scanned the implant. We designed and placed the implant. He flew back out that same day. So it just shows you some of the cool possibilities when you have that at your disposal.
And another question, and how much is that block? I'm
The
wondering, Issa.
abutment block, I believe it runs about $65 per block. You need the block plus what's called a tie base. So you cement the block to a titanium base, and that's the titanium is what goes into the implant. So you need the block and the tie base. Both total is less than $200. So your full lab fee for an in-house implant crown is less than $200. And that's where I said, like, man, I've had a lab fee come back from a lab for an implant. By the time they did like some custom abutment, all the parts, shipping costs, everything, we've had lab bills, close to near $1,000. So $1,000 compared to under 200, it's a big savings.
Hmm. In terms of the Google reviews that you receive, does anyone in your office ask patients to go ahead and leave a review, or how do you drive those, or how do you know how do you interact? Like what, how do you interact with those with the asking and the requesting of those?
Such a good question. The best way to get those Google reviews is in the moment. You've always had that patient come and say, man, this has been such a good experience. I can't believe we were able to do this in one appointment. This is so much better than my last time. Just loved it. And then you get them right then. Say, hey, Mrs. So and so, so glad you had a great experience. We would love it if you could tell more people about that so we can help more people just like you. Would you be willing to leave a Google review? And um, we can text it right to their phone, the link. We have a software called Weave. It allows us to text our patients. It actually goes out automatically after every appointment. Hey, if you had a good experience, review us here. So it's there automatically, but if you really want those good reviews, you gotta verbally ask for them. A great time. I've even taught my assistants. I taught one today. Best time to ask for a review is while the patient's just hanging out and you're waiting for their crown to be fired in the oven. You got 20 minutes where they're just sitting there. Use that. Say, hey, so and so, I know you said you love coming here and had a great. Do you mind writing a Google review if I text it to your phone? Boom, they do it right there in the chair, and it'll really drive. You got to get that team involved, and not just rely on like automatic texts. Most people ignore those, but when you personally ask for them, that's when we get the best. And tell them to make it detailed. I always say, like talk about your experience. Don't just say, "Hey, best doc ever," or "best team." No, maybe tell the little details as to why um, they loved their experience.
Do you have any insight as to how ChatGPT ended up recommending you in that example that you gave at the beginning of the presentation? Was it because of the number, the breadth of reviews, Google reviews that you had, or was it that to touch upon that answer you just gave about details? Was it like this thing that the same day aspect that distinguished you from the rest of your peers? Like, what do you think drove that, or do you suspect?
So it's funny you ask. I actually had a conversation with ChatGPT asking how that could have possibly happened. Because I was so curious. I was like blown away
This is
that by the
insightful.
first time I saw that. And so I just went on to ChatGPT and I told him what happened. I said, um, ChatGPT, I just had a patient come saying he found our dental practice on ChatGPT. How is that possible? I asked,
Hmm.
do you read Google reviews? And
Hmm.
it says no because that's private, like
Right.
private patient information, but it did say it got keywords from our website. So all over our website, we talk about how we offer same day
Mm.
dentistry, we offer sedation. We offered a lot of technology. I asked the patient, like, yeah, what were some of the things? And that's where I typed in up there. He looked for, show me a dentist who offers same day crowns. And so you need to put that verbiage out there in the internet. ChatGPT is listening, right? So whether it's blogs, whether it's your website, writing an article, all that stuff and tying that to your practice and to your name, all that stuff is mattering more now than ever, I think.
Hmm. Wow, amazing. Yeah, that's very interesting because yeah, so it is scrubbing for that information. What, in the last few minutes that we have, is there a particular feature of your practice that you would say best embodies what that modern 21st century, I forget the term that you used at the beginning to distinguish it from the sort of the uh the usual dentistry. Forget
Traditional dental.
traditional, right.
The thing I think my team is like almost probably annoyed from hearing is driving the patient experience. You know,
Right.
what is their experience like at my office versus the other, versus what
Hmm.
they're used to, versus what they've had in the past? Um, you know, that comes from, fear. Like we offer lots of
Hmm. The
sedation
fear.
options. Take that fear away from patients. Give them a good experience. Um, Really good numbing gel that the shots don't
Hmm.
hurt, right?
Hmm.
And then the really, like I said, because so little dentists are still doing it, is offering so much things in office at a faster time period, a lot of times same day.
Hmm.
I've had a patient walk in on the morning with a toothache and a cracked tooth
Mm.
that had a wedding in 3 months. And when I talked about, hey, you really need a dental implant and this, well, I cannot imagine going to my wedding without a tooth. And it just so
Hmm.
happened this was during flu season and my afternoon canceled because of the flu. I said, what are you doing this afternoon? And
Hmm.
so sure enough, we got the cone beam, we took a scan, we 3D printed a surgical guide during lunch, and we took the tooth out, placed an immediate implant that same day,
Mm.
guided
Mm.
with 3D printed technology, and got her tooth restored because I could make the implant crown in our office before her big event. And so that's one of those, like, you deliver on the patient's needs and wants,
Hmm.
and um, I think that would really, really set you apart.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Titensor. That was just really exciting to hear, and to learn with you and just to learn from you what you're doing. Really a wonderful presentation.